Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm going to be doing a book review on Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel. This is a pretty new release. I believe it came out in May of 2016 and this is a science fiction novel. The reason why I picked it up, it was getting a pretty decent amount of buzz. It was getting a lot of comparisons to like The Martian and World War Z. I haven't read World War Z, but I did read The Martian and really enjoyed it, and so I was like, okay, that seems like something I would be interested in, so I decided to pick it up. In the beginning of the story, there is this young girl named Rose who was riding her bike after she got it as like a birthday present, and she falls into this giant hole. But then when she's like discovered and saved by the firemen, they realize that she has fallen into this like gigantic metal hand that no one has ever seen before. It's like buried deep into the earth, so it's some sort of like artifact, but they're not really sure like what it is, how it got there, even what it's made of. Fast forward a good like 15 or 20 years and Rose is now a world-winning physicist who is now on this case to try to figure out what this hand was. And so her and like a team of people basically go on this quest to figure out like what this hand is made of. Where did it come from? Why is it here? Why did Rose happen to stumble upon it? Or like how did she happen to stumble upon it? I mean, obviously it was an accident, but like why was there a giant hole in the ground with this hand in it? And then the mystery sort of just moves forward from there. The way that this book is set up, it's mainly written as like series of interviews. You don't really know who's doing the interviewing, which is part of the fun of the book, going through and trying to see if you can ever figure out who the person is that's asking all of these questions. There are different people being interviewed in every chapter, and some of the chapters are actually like reports, like an event happens and you see like the report afterwards describing what had actually happened. So it's this really interesting way of setting up the story. Instead of like a typical prose novel, it's just like a series of interviews and a series of like reports that you're reading, and you are trying to figure out what exactly is happening. And obviously there's like things to take into account, like biases that each individual has, that's, you know, part of the interview, as well as like things that are hidden from certain reports and all of this stuff. It's a really fun way to structure a novel, and the fact that it is written like that makes it feel really fast paced. This is a book that is just like all plot. Like there is very little character development in my opinion. It's just supposed to be like a fun romp of a ride, kind of like The Martian, but I think The Martian had a little bit more depth to it, which is why I probably liked it more than I liked this one. But this one is like the perfect, fun, fast book. Sabrina at Unmanaged Mischief described this as being like book candy, which is like the perfect term for a book like this. However, I have to say that book candy is not necessarily my favorite thing. I like my books to have a little bit more bite and a little bit more depth to them. Even if they are fun reads, I like a little bit of character development. Another thing that was really hard for me is that by the end of the book, I actually started to get kind of exhausted with the format of interview style. The person who is doing the interviews in this book is one of those people who's like keeping secrets or like only revealing certain informations and is asking certain questions to make the people like reveal certain things. And after a while I feel like that style just got really exhausting. I don't know if it's because I read this book so fast or I read it so continuously that I was just like so worn out by the style by the end of it. But I found myself like towards the end just like skimming sections, just trying to pick up on the questions that seemed like the most important and, you know, were most relevant to the plot, because there's a lot of conversational pieces in here that aren't 100% relevant to the story, but they're like necessary because that's the way that conversations actually happen. I feel like this book could have just been developed a little bit more, or it could have been expanded a little bit more. I mean, it's a pretty short book. It's not really that long. So I feel like if it was expanded just a little bit more, created a little bit more depth, and maybe just add a little bit more prose in there for my own brain in between some of these interviews, I probably would have made this like a 3.5 star, maybe 4-star book. But because of the way that it was written, I think it's only like a 2.5. I rated it 3 stars on Goodreads, but it's possibly closer to like a 2.5. Really, it was just because by the end I was just like worn out and I could feel myself starting to care less and less. This book is, I believe, supposed to be a part of a series. The way that it's categorized on Goodreads, it has like the series designation. So I'm assuming there are more books going to be coming out that take place in this world, which might help significantly with like character development and even just expanding a little bit. But at the same time, if they're all written in the style, I don't know if I could handle it. Sabrina, again, at Unmanaged Mischief, whose review is the only one that I actually watched, she actually listened to this at an audiobook and she said that it was really fantastic on audio because they get a full cast of characters. I think that would have helped a lot more. I kind of wish that I'd listened to this on audio over reading it, because again, I don't know if it's just because my brain was getting worn out from the style, but I feel like a lot of the character interviews, like the voices all sound the same in terms of the way that it's written. They all kind of speak kind of similarly. A lot of times I had to flip back to the first page of the chapter to make sure that I was thinking of the right character in my head. And so sometimes I would get a little bit confused and be like, wait, which character am I reading about now? And sometimes you can pick it up based on context clues, because they all have very distinct things that they're talking about. Like the way that they're written isn't really that different. They all kind of talk the same way. So yeah, in the end I gave this again a 3 out of 5 stars, although it's probably closer to like a 2.5 out of 5 stars. Will I be picking up the rest of the series? Maybe I'll try them on audio if they continue to be written in this style. But I think it's just like an okay book. If you want something that's fun, fast-paced, this would be a really great book to read for like a readathon, because you get through the book really quick. But is it like the best book ever? Not really. Is it as good as The Martian? Even that, I don't think really it is. So yeah, those are my quick thoughts on Sleeping Giants. If you've read this book, feel free to leave a comment down below letting me know what you guys thought of it. Or if you have any questions about the book, feel free to leave that down in the comment section as well. So yeah, that's all I have for now. Thanks for watching.